On October 19th, 1970, Robert Bennett and his fiancée were heading home from a football game when they decided to spend the night at Robert's uncle's. It was pretty late, and his uncle lived not too far away from the stadium in Fairfax County, Virginia. When they got close to the house, the couple took a detour to a nearby field on Guinea Road, not too far from his uncle's house, but far enough from prying eyes. At least, that's what he thought. As Rob got busy in the car, midnight turned to morning, and a dark night soon turned darker. Rob was the first to notice something moving outside the rear window. Suddenly, a white-clad figure appeared out of nowhere and smashed the front passenger window. Horrified, Rob quickly turned the car around as the engine was still running, and while they made away from the field, the couple could hear the man screaming, "You're on private property, and I have your tag number." It was only when they had escaped that Rob and his fiancée noticed a hatchet on the car floor. They immediately headed to the police station, where the cops examined the hatchet, and Rob identified the white-clad figure as a man wearing a white suit with long bunny ears. 10 days later, the Fairfax County Police would receive a similar and equally jarring report. This time, it was from Paul Phillips, a construction security guard. He had been patrolling a construction area along Guinea Road at night when he noticed a man wearing the white bunny costume. The bunny man didn't approach Paul, but stood menacingly on the porch of an unoccupied building. As Paul approached him, the bunny man began chopping a signpost with an axe. When Paul drew closer, the bunny man yelled, "All you people trespass around here!" Paul's curiosity only grew, and he inched even closer. The bunny man then said, "If you don't get out of here, I'm going to bust you on the head." At this, Paul walked back to his car to fetch his handgun. When he returned, the bunny man had vanished. Fairfax County Police have no records of Robert Bennett or the October 19th event, but there are records of Paul Phillips' encounter with the bunny man. After the incident, cops went to investigate where Paul had seen the bunny man, but there were no signs of it. A few days after their initial investigation, a worker from that same area where Paul had seen the bunny man claimed that they had received a call from someone identifying himself as the Axeman. The Axeman said, "Mr. Blank, you have been messing up my property by dumping tree stumps, limbs, and brush, and other things on the property." He ended by saying, "You can make everything right by meeting me tonight and talking about the situation." The cops had a stakeout, but no one turned up. After that event, Fairfax County Police got another 50 calls about a bunny man, but he was never caught, and the police have since abandoned the case due to a lack of evidence. However, most stories and sightings of Bunny Man all come from a similar location in Fairfax County, Colchester Overpass. Now commonly known as Bunny Man Bridge, Colchester Overpass is a southern railway overpass built in 1906. Since stories of Bunny Man emerged, the overpass has become a popular destination for ghost hunters, Halloween party groups, and lovers of the paranormal. But what happened to the real Bunny Man? Was there even one to begin with? In the 70s, several newspapers, including the Washington Post, reported stories about the Bunny Man in Fairfax, but none have ever confirmed his identity. The Bunny Man may be just an urban legend, told to keep children away from the eerie-looking Colchester Pass. Or it could all be true, and a Bunny Man exists somewhere in Fairfax, patiently waiting to try his hatchet on trespassers. The fact that all three stories of the Bunny Man have all to do with trespassers clearly outlines his targets. It would make sense, too. Until World War II, Fairfax County was a rural farming area. The growth of federal jobs in the region led to significant residential development in Arlington and Fairfax counties. In the 1950s, tract housing began appearing in Springfield, McLean, Annandale, and Fairfax. By the 1960s, larger projects like Reston and Burke Center emerged. Despite Fairfax County starting to address land use planning in the 1950s, the first countrywide comprehensive land use plan was only adopted in 1975. Many residents in the 1960s and 70s were upset to see their rural surroundings replaced by roads, subdivisions, and shopping centers. Watching their community change so rapidly led to strange behaviors in some people. On January 30th, 1962, in a small British-run boarding school for girls, 3 students laughed at a joke. It must have been a good joke or something, but no one knew because the 3 girls didn't stop laughing. 30 minutes passed, and all 3 girls were still laughing uncontrollably. Soon, the laughter spread, and suddenly 20 girls were laughing. Teachers rushed to the class to find out what was happening, but their attempts to stop their laughter were futile. The teachers tried to stop the laughter, but before they knew it, more than half of the school had started laughing uncontrollably. They also exhibited other symptoms of restlessness, uncontrolled bouts of laughter, and then sobbing. No one understood what was going on, but they hoped it would pass. However, some girls started experiencing more worrying symptoms like pain, respiratory problems, fainting, and rashes. The situation escalated beyond the school doctor's jurisdiction, prompting experts to be called in. Psychologists, scientists, and doctors were baffled. They could not explain why almost 100 girls between 12 and 18 years old had been laughing for hours. The adults were not laughing or experiencing any symptoms, but classes couldn't continue with students laughing every other minute. Lab tests were done, but all came back normal. Hours turned to days, and after about 48 days of multiple students experiencing uncontrollable laughter, the school was forced to close down. However, they made one costly mistake. As the girls spread across the country to their respective villages, they carried the laughing sickness with them. Soon, other people were infected. It spread like air through communities, schools, and towns, and within 18 months, hundreds of people were affected. While all forms of people, including adults, got the laughing sickness, the victims were usually the same: young girls. The laughing sickness spread from Kashasha to Nshamba, then to Kanyangarika village. Then it spread to more schools, and 14 were forced to close. 18 months passed before the laughter died off, but over 1,000 people have been affected. The laughing epidemic happened in Tanganyika, now Tanzania, in 1962. Experts believed that it was a case of mass hysteria, also known as mass psychogenic illness. This condition occurs when a group of people exhibit similar physical symptoms without a physical cause, often triggered by psychological stress. Symptoms start suddenly and could spread quickly through a population, especially in close-knit groups or communities. The symptoms are contagious in a psychological sense, meaning they spread through observation and suggestion rather than through any physical means. Symptoms include headaches, dizziness, fainting, nausea, abdominal pain, and in the case of the Tanganyika laughter epidemic, uncontrollable laughter. The powerful collective trauma at the Tanzanian boarding school might have happened because the students felt trapped in a strict environment, run by foreigners, and were away from their families. However, this alone didn't explain why hundreds of other people outside the school also experienced the same symptoms. The most likely explanation for hundreds of people in rural Tanzania experiencing mass hysteria was related to the events in the country just before it happened. In late 1961, Tanzania, then called Tanganyika, gained independence after being a British colony for 40 years. This major change caused a lot of cultural chaos. Suddenly, Tanzania was a socialist state with a new government eager to make changes. Local clans were broken up, and land ownership changed. People faced intense pressure to adopt Christianity and modern government systems instead of their traditional beliefs and social structures. Some were even offered money to choose one church over another. Life in Tanzania changed dramatically and quickly, creating a lot of stress for everyone. Humans often look to each other to understand how to behave. The first girls who couldn't stop laughing, crying, screaming, and fainting might have been overwhelmed by the pressures of boarding school or the new social order. Their schoolmates saw their behavior and thought, "I feel like that too." Over the next 18 months, people across the country expressed their fear, anxiety, stress, grief, and confusion through uncontrollable laughter. On May 31st, 1995, a young woman with a short haircut and dressed in black checked into the Oslo Plaza Hotel. Despite the hotel's status as a premier luxury establishment, she provided no credit card or identification, only paying with cash and signing in as Jennifer Fairgate. 3 days later, hotel security approached her room to request a credit card, as it had displayed a "Do Not Disturb" sign for 2 days. Upon knocking, the security guard heard a gunshot from within the room. The guard ran to get help, leaving the room unattended for 15 minutes. When the police arrived, they found Jennifer in bed with a bullet in her head. The gun was in her hand, and while it looked like a clear-cut case of suicide, something was off. First off, Jennifer was holding the gun in an awkward position. Her thumb was on the trigger, and there was no gunpowder residue on her hand. Secondly, when police officers looked into her luggage, they found more bullets in it, an unusual choice for someone planning to commit suicide. She had no identification with her, no passport, license, keys, cosmetics, or toiletries, except for a men's perfume. She had very few clothes, all for her upper body, and all the tags on them removed. A hotel employee mentioned she came with a man, a Lois Fairgate, registered to stay with her, but hotel staff say he vanished after they checked in. All efforts to find her family or Lois Fairgate proved futile until investigators found that Jennifer Fairgate wasn't this woman's real name. Jennifer had gone to great lengths to conceal her identity. She had given a non-existent address in Belgium and a fake profession. Even the serial number on the gun, a Browning 9mm pistol, had been removed. There were few recorded entrances to the room using her keycard, and none just before her death. There was no way to determine her identity or purpose, except for one obscure clue: a Citizen Aqualand watch on her left wrist. While correlation doesn't always imply causation, the Citizen Aqualand is not a watch one wears casually, and its presence contrasts sharply with the semi-fashionable outfits found in Jennifer's luggage. During covert operations, a durable watch is essential, and the Aqualand with its dual analog-digital features would have been just right. If the watch didn't give it away, every spy movie tells us that hotels are the go-to location for all things espionage, but of course, anyone could easily check into a hotel, right? Except Jennifer's keycard logs revealed that she was absent from the room for extended periods, including a stretch of about 20 hours, and her call logs showed several conversations between her and some Belgian numbers. Another indication that Jennifer was involved in espionage is related to her clothing. A search of the room uncovered few personal items, but there were several changes of clothes for her upper body, such as sweaters and trench coats, which could facilitate profile changes during operations. While removing tags from clothes is uncommon, intelligence operatives are trained to eliminate all pocket litter or any identifiable items when using an alias. Interestingly, Jennifer isn't the only individual who died under mysterious circumstances in Norway with ties to Belgium. The Combo Man, discovered in 1987 near train tracks in South Norway, was also found without identification and with the tags removed from his clothes. Just like Jennifer, DNA testing linked him to Belgium. Additionally, the Isdal woman, who was discovered partially burned with poison in her stomach in a remote area of Norway known as Ice Valley, was also linked to Belgium. Her belongings included encrypted notes and disguises, and the tags had been removed from her clothes. It was speculated that she might have been a spy, and the similarities between her case and Jennifer's are striking. Investigators have noted the awkward grip of the pistol, a hammer, and the absence of blood splatter on Jennifer's hand as possible signs of another shooter. There was also a second bullet hole through a pillow and into the mattress, which could have been a test shot from Jennifer or a warning shot to scare the hotel attendant at the door. Was Jennifer a loose end? Many intelligence services, particularly the Russian KGB and FSB and Israeli Mossad, have a history of conducting assassinations designed to look like suicides, and both have a history in Norway. The Oslo Plaza Hotel, where Jennifer checked into, was reportedly a site for secret negotiations between Israel and the Palestinian authorities for the Oslo II Accord, signed a few months later after Fairgate's death. Although the evidence is circumstantial, there may be a connection to this event, suggesting Fairgate might have been an Israeli operative or the target of a Mossad assassination. Mossad has a long history of deep cover operations and targeted killings. In January 2010, a team of Mossad operatives, many using European aliases, assassinated Hamas official Mahmoud al-Mabhouh in his hotel room in Dubai. They used an injection to make it appear as a natural death, locked the room from the inside, and the body wasn't discovered until the next day. While there is no direct connection between Fairgate and Israel, Mossad is well known for using dual citizens for covert and clandestine operations. Let us know what you think in the comments. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, leave a like and subscribe.